Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. And welcome back to our reflections on these 4 ways of transforming the mind. We must be, depending how we count, number 18 or number 19 in the series. Maybe you just watched the alternative version, concluding the section on the karma of speech. And we're dealing with karma. And in this and in the following videos, we need to be looking into now the karma of mind. This is a deeper, a more subtle topic. As you know, these reflections on karma, they're part of our thinking in a way which prepares us, so it's called the preliminaries or the foundations, the ngondro. But sometimes we even need to do preparation for the preparation, and I think this is very appropriate and very much the case when it comes to considering the karma of mind. What we'll be doing in these few videos is to first reflect a little bit about what is this mind of ours before we consider its karma. And in particular, we need to know a little bit about this mind, not just as it is now, as we can explore it through meditation and so on, but this mind that travels on after death, through the between life experiences, and on into the next life, carrying the programming, carrying the genetics that will shape us in that future life and bring about that life's events. So we need to reflect a little bit about mind. And this reflection is so important because these preliminaries are within our Kagyu tradition, and we are primarily a contemplative, a meditator's tradition. We are not interested in facts, information, and knowledge for its own sake. We're not academics, and as we'll see when we reflect about mind, no matter how much interesting information we've packed into this brain, this mind of ours, so much will be lost at death. So we are interested in a deeper experience than just factual knowledge. We want to discover this mind of ours and how through what it does, which is the meaning of karma, how it acts, how it will be shaping our destiny, not just in this life, but in lives to come. In order to get this deeper level of experience, the meditator's approach rather than the academic's approach, then we really do need to think, but to think, let's say, to deep think, not just play with ideas, but spend a long time with our topic. So far, we've had karma of body and karma of speech, and these two go together because they primarily involve us and other beings and the world around us, what we say to each other, how we say it, what we do with this body of ours, as we've explored. Mind is different. Mind is intimate. It's personal. No one can know our mind. Even for us, it's difficult to truly know our minds. Mind, although it thinks about other people, fantasizes, remembers, plans, and so on, dreams. This mind is our very intimate property. And this mind is, when we look into it, the master the slaves of which, the servants of which, are our body and speech. So those karmas of body, those karmas of speech, all started somewhere with this mind of ours. Let's just recap very briefly. When we're thinking of karma of body, we have to really spend good time exploring what it is to be embodied. Everything you've called life, I've called life, has been an experience through this body. We've only seen what these eyes of ours saw. We've only heard what these ears of ours heard, and so on. We can only be where this body is. Sometimes we would love so much to be somewhere else, in another place, with other people, with another person. But wherever this bag of bones is, that's where this awareness brought through these 5 sense organs, as we touch and taste and smell and so on. We are there, and what we've called our life, here, my life, what we've called the world, has been an experience brought to us by this body, limited by this body. We can't see more than these eyes can see, and so on. And of course, when we die and the mind is freed from this body and its limits, then we go into a very, very different state of consciousness, which is no longer embodied. So there'll be a period of time when we are primarily just mind, and then this mind of ours, carrying its past, its programming, its karma, will at one time or another join up with the beginnings of a new body as our future parents create the physical shell, and this ongoing stream of being, of consciousness, goes to inhabit it. So when we are reflecting on the mind, in a way, at first we need to think about what is this body and how it has shaped our mind, its experiences of pain, of pleasure, and so on, and so on. We need to explore a lot, being embodied. And we do this through, of course, mindfulness of body, where we explore our own body very intimately in a meditative way, second by second, as we see, hear, smell, taste, touch, and so on. And we witness how other people are also prisoners of their body, limited by their body's experience. And we do the same thing with speech, and I think in the last videos, the more recent ones, I explained that enough, this wonderful ability that the animals don't have to express ideas and how we can use it for the better or for the worst. But we need to spend good time with that. Being aware as we speak, being mindful as we speak, feeling how we do it, why we do it, how the ideas surge up, and before we know it, we have sounds coming out and people are listening to them and the effect they have. And not only that, of course, the effect of other people's speech on us and on our mind, our thinking. Just as our mind is filled now with images and ideas, if we look back to the past with our mind, if we imagine the future with our mind, and even now in the present moment with our mind, all of the imagery that comes up came through this body, and so much of the ideas that are happening in our mind as we think of the past, present, or future are ideas received through speech, through learning, through conversations, and so on, and so on. Speech more generally means our interactivity, this power to learn, to communicate, to express. So as we deep think, as we spend our time being mindful and aware of body and speech, we realize how much they have shaped this mind of ours. And then, in a similar way, now that we've done some training with body, which is the easiest thing to be mindful of. It's there, it's quite solid. If you're doing mindful walking and so on, it's reliable, it's happening moment after moment. It's lasting. Or speech is more transient, it comes and goes more quickly, but we can be mindful of it. But those are our laboratories of apprenticeship. And now that we know how to be aware and mindful, much more sensitive to being embodied, to having this power to communicate, then we need to turn our mindfulness and awareness to mind itself. By mind, we mean thoughts, words in the head, and sometimes very, very subtle words in the head, and background thoughts, and longer lasting ideas and beliefs that are kind of the support, the ground for those thoughts, that build up over years and are there as a sort of latent conditioning, forming our character. And then there are feelings, whereby some things make us feel good, feel bad, feel angry, feel resentful, feel grateful, feel love, feel kindness, thoughts and feelings. And then you'll probably find, as you become more mindful, more aware, other dimensions of mind, more subtle, that you couldn't really call just thoughts or just feelings. Sometimes we feel our mind almost more like an energy that seems to be moving this way, that way. It can be very agitated. It can be very, very calm. It's inseparable from our body. It's stirred up by our speech. But somehow we can recognize mind in its own right. And it's that we'll be studying in the coming videos. So this video is more an invitation to you to sit and to think more about what is mind. Not what you've heard mind is, not the neuroscience things you've read and all of that stuff. Much more hands-on, direct. Try and feel what is this body. What is speech in reality with the mouth, and what is the reproduction of speech as we have these inner dialogues going on in our mind. And then what is the mind that actually is knowing all those things. Mind, which is the theatre in which those things are acting. Now, this exploration of mind will be very long. If you get to the bottom of it, pretty much you are Buddha, but we need to start in a very nice way. Beautiful curiosity. This mind of mine that can be so happy, so sad, go from heaven to hell. Try to get to be more familiar with it. Just in the same way as we can be more familiar with flowers or bird life. We spend time, we pay attention to the details. So this first step is an invitation to find what mind means. Then after that, probably in the next teaching, we will look at the classical teachings on the karma of mind. 1, 2, 3, the subsections, and the results in terms of rebirth, the results in terms of even if you're born human, the consequences will be this or that, and the effect, the general effect on the environment, for instance. And then in the teaching or the teachings after that, we need to explore some classical teachings about consciousness, how it is imprinted while we are alive, how karma works, in other words. And the key point, what survives death and what doesn't survive death. And we can already start thinking about this as we're trying to discover this mind. Because if you do believe in reincarnation, as we Buddhists do, then we just need to look at the two ends of the process. People reaching the end of their life with all of their knowledge and the facts and the skills that they've accumulated. Such a unique richness. And then that mind that dies. If we look at later on in the process, we can't see what happens in between, in what we call the bardo. But a baby, if they're reborn human, a baby is born at home in a maternity unit. How does that baby come out? Still talking? No, it's lost the language. Full of all the facts and information. No. It has to learn again how to speak. And with a bit of luck, and research into thousands of children have shown this, by the time the child is able to speak, but before the child is integrating most of the day with other children and society, at that time, some memories of the past life are still there, some. But it's not as though they can remember all the information. It is the deeply ingrained stuff that remains. They might remember their parents, their home, some key facts. But because so much has happened with dying, with the bardo in between lives, with being in the womb for 9 months in a dark space, and then coming out without any ability to express and so on. These are some memories. It's absolutely fascinating to think of somebody dying, then a baby being born, and to ask the question, what is lost? What will come back? And what is this thing called karma, which is carried in the mind, in consciousness, and that will shape so much of the next life to come? This is our topic. I hope you'll enjoy following it through with me. For today, for this talk, that is all. I wish you good meditation and a good day wherever you are. Thank you very, very